So here's the deal. Okay. This was not what was requested from a couple people for me to talk about. I think many of you requested the last upload, me talking about the possible future or lack of a future for Patreon. This was the other one. Some of you wanted me to discuss the fact that James and Mike Mondays over at Cinemassacre seems to be either on hiatus or delayed or is canceled outright. I'm not sure. I don't have time to look up a lot of information on that. All right, so as far as I know, Waterworld was the last one of those, and that was done 2 weeks ago, and maybe it's not coming back. What a big loss. Here's what they could do. They could have James, who, you know, most people tune in to James and Mike Mondays. For James, they could just maybe plop one of those fat screenwave guys on the couch. Or, you know, anybody. Just pull anybody off the street. Put them on the couch right beside James. Might even be better, okay? A lot of people really don't care for Mike Matei. All right? People tune in mostly, I think, for James during those Mike and Mondays. What I want to talk about is this most recent video they uploaded called Why Zelda is the Most Influential Game, Retail Reviews. And this is a over half-hour upload where they're talking about and trying to plead the case for Zelda being the most influential game, like, of all time. This one has got a lot of downvotes. That's the first thing I noticed. And it's not common for some of these Cinemassacre uploads to have a lot of downvotes. It's got 5,000 upvotes, almost 1,000 downvotes. So that means a lot of people do not agree that Zelda is the most influential game. I see a lot of people commenting, you know, the most influential game of all time, they say is on the same console. Mario. What would the video game industry be without a Super Mario Brothers? All right, it would be completely different. People make the argument for Zelda being influential as a role-playing game, but most people, when they think about role-playing games and influential role-playing games, they point to the PC, especially, you know, late 80s, early 90s. The PC being very influential when it comes to, like, a lot of game series, but specifically when you think role-playing games, you look at PC, all right? When you think platformers, you think about Nintendo, you think about Mario. Just people, how many people think video games and think Zelda? I'm just not talking about like fanboys of Nintendo, but I'm talking about just regular, everyday, average people. You ask somebody, you know, who Link and Zelda is, and they'll scratch their head. But you ask them who Mario is and Luigi, and you're like, oh, okay, the plumbers, the video game plumbers, right? So it's just silly they're trying to make this complete argument, and it just seems like they're kind of fanboying out over Zelda, which I'm not saying Zelda is not an amazing series. I'm not saying that there are some Zelda games that are definitely a lot better than Mario games, but we're talking influential here. And the first 2 minutes of this guy, one of the guys, he lost a lot of weight, so I can't really call him the fat guy anymore because, you know, to his credit, whoever this guy is, he lost a good bit of weight. The guy in the van shirt. For the first 2 minutes, maybe this guy needs a script. He was fucking cringe. Just fucking cringe. I mean, we talk about how Radical Reggie just seems to, you know, have his pauses and everything. But this guy, man, I just don't know. And this thing is 36 minutes long. You're not telling me they just couldn't cut this down to maybe, you know, 20, 25 minutes? Now this opens up a bigger discussion. Not just on what is the most influential game of all time, but what is the most influential game in a certain genre. Say, for instance, fighting. I think few people would disagree that Street Fighter is the most influential fighting series. Okay, before Street Fighter 2 Turbo, a lot of people weren't into fighting games. And that kind of paved the way for a lot of fighting games in the future. You know, Mortal Kombat, you can kind of loop in there also. When it comes to racing games, you know, Rad Racer on the NES, or maybe Gran Turismo on the PlayStation. The way I look at it is, what game really made something or a genre incredibly popular? You know, in the way Super Mario Brothers made everybody really want to play more platformers and they wanted games more like that series. One instance, let's say, horror, survival horror. I would say the most influential survival horror game would be the first Resident Evil on the PlayStation. What about sports? You know, the Madden football series. most influential sports games. Role-playing games, okay? Zelda, the Zelda series. I don't think Zelda is the most influential even role-playing series of all time. Okay, I can point to some series that started on PC that are a lot more influential when it comes to role-playing games. I think a lot of people don't really point to game consoles when they think about role-playing games, all right? You look at the role-playing communities, you look at the Elder Scrolls communities online, the PC's pretty much the king when it comes to role-playing games. I'll finish off with a big one. First-person shooters. It's a 4-letter word, say it with me now. Doom. Easily, that's an easy one right there. Is there anyone that disagrees that Doom is the most influential first-person shooter of all time? I don't think so. I would look at maybe Half-Life as being very influential, the first Halo being very influential, early Call of Duties, the multiplayer, Modern Warfare. So there you go, some quick thoughts on influential game series by genre and why I don't personally think Zelda is the most influential game series of all time. Now, if you disagree with me, leave it in the comment section down below. Explain to me maybe why you think Zelda is the most influential game series of all time. Or if you want to have some fun, leave me a comment by genre telling me what you think the most influential game series by genre is. Also, who do you think the most influential e-beggar is? Hell, that one might be easier than Doom for first-person shooters. Dark Side Phil.